Hi everyone. Today we're going to be doing some optical illusion art. It's also called op art. It's basically art that tricks your eye. So I'm going to show you two different ways to do it. One is a little bit more difficult, requires a ruler and measuring, and I think a lot of you third graders can do that. The other way makes it a little bit easier, and all you really need is a piece of lined notebook paper like this. See this lined notebook paper? Okay, so let's begin. So check out this on my computer screen. This is op art. It's really cool looking art. If you go to my e-learning page on Dennis Township's website, you can scroll through the little presentation. I think you're really going to enjoy this art. It's a lot of fun. Some of them actually look like they're moving. They're not actually moving. It's just the way that the lines and shapes combine together. So check it out. For this project, the materials you need are a pencil, a ruler, a marker, a plain piece of paper. I picked yellow. This is going to be for the more difficult project, or lined notebook paper if you have that at home. So we're going to start off by measuring 1/2 inch and marking it all the way across the top of the page and then all the way across the bottom of the page. And if you can see here, let me show you close up. This is 0. This is 1 right here. This is a 1/2 inch. So when you're marking these dots on your page, you're going to start, you don't have to mark here because that's the end of the page. You're going to mark 1/2, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3. Okay, and keep going. So we'll start here. And I'm going to just put a dot. You don't want to go bigger than a dot. You don't want to draw a line. So that's 1/2, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, 8, and this page is 8.5 inches long. So I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom. Make sure you line up this side of the roller, this edge, right with the edge of the paper, and you're going to mark 1/2, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, 8, and then I'm at the edge of the paper. All right, so next we're going to take this ruler and we're going to line up these dots that we made. So I'm going to line up my dots, the top with the bottom dot. I'm going to draw a line all the way from the top of the page to the bottom of the page. Top of the page, bottom of the page. Okay, so basically what we're doing, my ruler's a little not very straight, but it's the best I can do. Wish I had rulers from school. Here we go. Top of the page to the bottom. Top of the page to the bottom. So basically what we did is we made lines that are 1/2 inch apart from each other all the way across the page. And if you are adventurous and you're going to try this method, it's a great idea because measuring is really important. Okay, all the way at the top, all the way at the top. See how I'm connecting my dots? Oops. Right. Last one. And one of the things that I did, just to make sure I could keep my ruler straight, is I stood up. so I can hold it down. Because sometimes when you're sitting down, you're not holding it straight. You line it up and then it curves as you draw with it. So if you stand up, you can hold down really tight and keep it straight. So I have my straight lines. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to think of a shape. And I want you to think of shapes that are, that don't have any inside lines. So a good shape would be a heart. Let's see what other shapes we could do. Let's see, a shamrock. It has to be no inside lines. Right? Kind of like as if you're taking a cookie cutter and you're cutting something out. You can do, let's say, like a lightning bolt. Okay, whatever shape you can think of. You could do something simple, a circle, or squares, or triangles. And they can all be different sizes. So here's, some ideas of shapes that you can make. All right, so I am just going to do hearts. So, and you're gonna put them all over. You're gonna draw right over top of your lines, like this. I'm gonna do different sizes. If you wanted to, you can make some upside down. This one's gonna be a little bit smaller. Like this. Like this. Fill the page up because it's more interesting looking if you fill it. Fill it up. And maybe I'll do one off the page down here. All right, so now that I have my shape, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an X at the top. This is just for reference, for coloring, in the first column, and then I'm going to skip a column. Next column, skip a column. This is a column going all the way down. So I'm skipping one, next one, skipping one, next one, skip. Skip that one, this one, skip, right here, skip, and that one. Okay, that's gonna help us with coloring. So, the way that this works, you're going to use your marker. And again, I only have permanent markers here at my house. If you have regular markers or crayons, you can use crayons. So you're gonna start off, you're gonna color the column, skip the shape that has the X in it. Oops. So I'm skipping the shape, I'm coloring in the column. Coloring the whole column, skip the shape. And when you're doing this, it's going to look more like an optical illusion if you can get it colored in nice and dark, nice and solid. Try to keep your marker or crayons coloring in the same direction as much as possible. You don't want to see any little white spots in there or yellow spots in my case. Okay, so that's the first column. I skipped one. My next one, color in the column. And notice that I like to outline it and skip the shape. Here's the same column. Skip the shape. right? And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be speeding up this video so you don't have to watch me coloring all these columns, and then I'll show you the next step, which is to go back, and the columns that you skipped, you're only going to color in the shape. Okay, so now that I have all the columns colored, I'm going to go back to the column that didn't have an X in it, and I'm only going to color in the shape. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to outline that shape and color it in. So that's the first one. Outline the shape and color it in. And outline the shape and color it in. All right, so I'm going to speed up the video so you can see the finished product. And then I'll show you how to do the one where you don't have to use a ruler to measure. Finished work of art. When you're done, take a look at it, make sure there's no pencil marks. If you see pencil, then you've missed something, so you can go back and just color in the areas that you missed. All right, so I'm going to set this one aside. I'm just going to show you just how to start it with a piece of notebook paper. Basically, same thing. You're going to figure out a shape that you want to make. Let's see. I'm going to do, for this one, maybe a shape like this. Like this. Another shape. So you're basically drawing over the lines on your notebook paper like we did with the first one. This is just a really squiggly shape. Cloud shape. All right, and for this one, we're going to hold the paper this way, and for that, you're going to do the same thing with the columns. You're going to put an X in the first column, skip a space, X, skip, X, skip, X, skip a space, X, skip a space, X, skip a space, X, skip, 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 skip a space, X. Okay, this could probably be a little tiny X here. All right, and when you go to color, and I'm not going to be coloring this whole one, I just want to show you how it works. Same thing. You trace the column, skip the shape. So I'm going to trace the column. And I'm only going to go down to about to the red line on the notebook paper. You can cut it out. Trace the column, color it in, skip the shape, do all the X's first, and then go back, trace the column, skip the shape. This kind of art requires a little bit of concentration. I'm working in a nice quiet room. All right, so you're gonna go all the way across all the X's, and then when you go back, you're gonna go to the column that you skipped, and you're going to color in the shape. Like that. Okay, thank you for watching. Here's our finished product. I hope to see everybody's finished products. You can email them to me at nkenninger@dtschools.org.